Welcome to Southeastern 14 presented by Stakes, where we are previewing Auburn's game with Northwestern. That is going to be 8:30 Eastern in Riviera Maya, Mexico at the Hard Rock Hotel, Riviera Maya. If you want to watch this one, you got to get CBS Sports Network, which is probably not on your cable network unless you're paying a little extra. So just a heads up on that. Anyway, Northwestern ranked 53 in KenPom. Not the territory where you usually see the Wildcats. Auburn 16 in KenPom. This one, the odds makers have set Auburn as a 5.5-point favorite. Auburn hit some threes last night and went over Bradley. How are we feeling about this one, Blake?
Well, for the Auburn fans out there, I think that we're starting to see certainly some things move in the right direction. They hit 8 threes yesterday against Bradley, took care of business there. And I'm going to say this right now, Chris. I think Auburn might be the most confident team in the world. And I mean that in terms of how they play. Like they are a team playing with a lot of confidence right now. And I think, you kind of look at their schedule at this point. I thought George Mason was probably the best of the bunch. Bradley, not a bad team, but I think you're starting to see our Auburn try to figure out some different things offensively. Because as we said before, like defensively, you don't really have a lot of questions about them. You know how they're going to play defensively. It's how a Bruce Pearl team plays. They've got decent size. They're going to force turnovers. They're going to defend, and I think we've kind of seen that. Haven't given up more than 65 points in a game this season. So I think, you certainly saw that in that game against Bradley. But I think you're starting to see some things offensively take shape, right? Because we kind of said we didn't really know what the offensive identity of this team was going to be. You've seen Broom now score in double figures in 3 of the 4 games he played in. He didn't play against Texas Southern. We've talked about Wendell Green. He's hit double figures 4 or 5 games. Obviously they need him to shoot it well. I think that's still a big part of the equation. Jalen Williams now back to back double digit scoring games. That's, I think, encouraging. Alan Flanagan, a guy still, I think, trying to find his way offensively at times. But that's what I think I'm more interested in right now with Auburn, is to continue to see how they improve on the offensive end of the floor. Kate Katie Johnson's had back-to-back double-digit games, so we're starting to see different guys be able to step up, and I think that's going to be it with this team, right? This isn't going to be a Jabari Smith type scenario, right? Where you got maybe a guy's going to come out and score 30 and everybody else just chips in a few here and there. I think on any given night for Auburn, you're going to need to see this team have 4 or 5 guys at least in double figures. And I think that's how they're going to win games, is knowing that you do have a lot of guys. Maybe you don't have just an overwhelmingly 25 point, per game score or anything like that, but you do have a lot of guys who can make baskets. And I think that makes them harder to defend. They just have to hit those shots consistently. So I like what I've seen from Auburn to this point, and I think this is a good test for them because this is a Northwestern team that will defend. We talk about teams that are defending just like Auburn. They've only allowed more than 54 points once this season. Now, again, they played Chicago State, Northern Illinois, Georgetown, solid road win, IPFW, and then Liberty, of course, which we saw against Alabama. Northwestern beat them by 14 yesterday. So this is going to be a team that defends, and I want to see what Auburn does offensively, shot selection, all those things in a big game like this.
Well, before we get into Northwestern a little bit, Auburn certainly should be well rested. 12, 13 guys played in the Bradley win. I think they played 10 guys, double-digit minutes. Wendell Green led Auburn in minutes with 24. They only had, 4 guys play 20 minutes. So Auburn should be in good shape physically for this one.
Yeah, and I think as we talked about the depth, right, of Auburn, we kind of knew that was going to be a strength this season, and it was just a matter of seeing what the minutes look like from just how they were allocated, and so I think it's going to be. I just think I'm curious to see how Northwestern defends them, because like we said, there are a lot of options on this team. And you mentioned pretty well rested group. My guess is, if you're Northwestern, you're trying to figure out how to defend here because you do have some matchup things you have to look at. Because Northwestern's got some size. They're an experienced team. They're also, I think they're a team that, gosh, let me look at the numbers here because I'm kind of looking at the efficiency numbers. Like they're going to shoot a lot of threes, so I think that's something too. Auburn defensively defending them on the perimeter. Um, so I think it's like that's what I'm curious about is just how Northwestern goes about defending them. My guess is they're going to try to make Auburn, make a lot of jump shots and make them, take shots from outside because I think that's how most teams would probably try to defend this team. Looking at just the 3-point numbers, I mean they did make more threes against Bradley, but it's still a team that's shooting 28.2% from 3-point range, 303rd nationally in that area. Don't necessarily shoot free throws very well either. So I think doing that, how Northwestern defends them, limiting the offensive rebounds, that's a big part of it too. Because we've said this Auburn team with the length and the athleticism they have, that they had 8 against Bradley, but this is still a team I think that can go get putbacks and those kind of things. So yeah, a lot of kind of fun little tidbits in this game because I think this is kind of in terms of the styles, right? Northwestern's going to play a little bit more of a methodical type style. Auburn's going to try to get this thing up and down the floor, use their speed, their quickness, their ability to get to the rim with those guards, and yeah, so there's a lot of kind of little interesting storylines heading into this one.
Okay, before we wrap this thing up, shout out to our sponsor, Stakes. Predict sports better than the crowd for a chance to win NFTs. With Stakes, players can submit their sports predictions against friends, other fans, and influencers forever. Don't let your sports genius go overlooked. Join Stakes and have the best predictions captured in the moment. Head to playwithstakes.com/14. Use our invite code Southeastern14 for a double welcome bonus. Okay, Blake, Vegas has got this as Auburn being a 5.5-point favorite. Bart Torvik has got the same. Ken Palm has got Auburn by 5. So everybody right there in the same stratosphere with how they see this. Ken Palm's got Auburn as a 70% chance to win. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to, Northwestern is going to play good defense. And I think that's where we see here, what are the things we said going into the season, right? Shot selection, those kind of things with Auburn were going to be important. I think Northwestern is the kind of team that, seeing how they play, defensively, I think just looking at the numbers so far, that's an important part of this. And, I think, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see like just how they defend. And I think that, this is a big game for Northwestern. Let's be honest, because like they would love to have this on their resume, just as
Yeah.
Auburn hopes for this to be because Auburn's got some. Auburn's got some good opportunities coming up. They got that game against St. Louis on Sunday. They've got the game against Memphis. They got that road trip to USC. They're going to play at Washington. So Bruce Pearl has done a good job with his schedule because I think they've got some very interesting games. Of course, Northwestern, they're going to play their first Big Ten game against Michigan State here in a couple weeks. But beyond that, in the non-conference, there's just not a lot to chew on. So this is I think you'll see Chris Collins get his team motivated knowing that. This is a big resume booster if they can get this win. I just think that this is in terms of the styles, these are different styles of play. If Auburn can make this a game where they kind of speed things up a little bit, taking good shots, really trying to attack and not settling for a lot of jump shots, I think that they will take care of business and win this game. But again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Northwestern do some things defensively to kind of try to throw Auburn off a little bit. But I just think Auburn is the better team right now. And again, I think they're starting to kind of find themselves a little bit offensively. So.
Okay, we are smack in the middle of football season, rivalry weekend coming up. We'll have a live stream. We do these on Wednesday nights at 8 Central. Hope you'll catch us. May talk a little basketball if folks in the chat want to talk that too. Anyway, best way to catch that is hit that subscribe button. So please do that. Leave us a nice like if you feel so inclined. He's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 14 presented by Stakes, and we'll see you again soon.